Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
From the Schmoes Know Network Studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for Meet the Movie Press. And now, here's your host, the editor-in-chief of SchmoesKnow.com, Mark Reilly, and from The Wrap, Jeff Sneider.
Good morning, Schmoville! It is I, your co-host, Jeff Sneider, film reporter for The Wrap, and Mr. Reilly. He's out sick this morning, unfortunately, but we've got we've got an able co-host here, Umberto El Miyambe Gonzalez from Latino Review.
What's good, y'all?
No applause on that, JT?
Yo, what's up with that?
Yeah, there should be a cue.
There we go. Make a clap to this.
It's like, guys, I'm not used to this. You know, Riley normally handles the top of the show, and I'm also turning up my mic discreetly.
Ooh, I like the way you use the word discreetly.
Yes, it's very soft. Sorry, I need to be able to hear myself so that I can talk about all the fun movie news that we're going to be discussing this week with our special guest today, who's going to be Neil Turitz from SSN Insider, formerly known as Studio System News.
Yeah.
Love that site. When I work for, a site that can afford access to it.
Yeah.
It's not, you got to pay for Mr. Turitz. Yeah, dude, it was a busy week.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
We're going to get into some fun stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Well, we have to talk about our Wonder Woman thing.
Yeah, bro, we killed it this week on the internet.
And then Justin Kroll's Suicide Squad scoop about Jai Courtney. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, Deadshot.
Baz Bamming Boy broke something yesterday about the James Bond franchise.
Yes, he did.
Right after last week's show, I dropped that Jared Leto as the Joker scoop, so we'll get into that.
Yes.
Maybe discuss Tarantino's retirement. It's going to be a fun time. I don't know. Was there anything that you wanted to touch on today?
You pretty much hit it all on the head.
All right. Well, yeah, and I spent the week at AFI. Almost every night this week, so we can discuss some of those movies as well. But let's just get rolling. Let's have Mr. Turitz on, guys. Neil Turitz in the studio
Turitz.
from the East Coast,
New York. That's good. How you doing, sir? Welcome on board.
Yeah, look at that. Welcome.
A graceful entrance, if there ever was one.
Mark Reilly sends his regards. He's sorry he could not make it. He was running a little temperature.
I say he's yellow.
He was afraid of the showdown.
That's what I'm saying.
So you've been in town for how long?
This time I've been around for a week.
Okay, you're in town for a week or two.
I'm in every month for anywhere from a week or two.
That's nice that they allow you to travel back and forth between the coasts.
They actually prefer I'm in New York because I handle a lot of the newsletter as well. Our two editions every day. So with the time difference, it's easier for me because it goes out at 8:30 and 2:30 local time. Whereas, so I don't have to deal with it quite as, I'm not being terribly articulate about that.
Well, how long you been at at SSN Insider, excuse me?
Formerly known as Studio System News, about a year and a half.
And you're the senior editor over there?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a bit about what you do.
Primarily, I'm a feature writer.
Okay.
That's how you and I first kind of crossed paths, because I tend to write features about the industry, about the business side of the industry. I do a lot of interviews, personal features about the actors, writers, directors, below the line people in the industry.
Okay, so you're talking to the movers and shakers around town and seeing all the movies and all that stuff.
All of those things.
Okay, and yeah.
Oh, it's good that you get in early on the news cycle because we're New York based and bicoastal also. But yeah, usually the news starts around 5:30, 6. You see what's popping in London. Like the Bond thing.
Right.
Yeah. Before we wake up even.
Right.
Sometimes I'll wake up, but by 7, Kelvin's got all the stories up because by 10. So it's good to be on the East Coast news feed because you get in before the rest of.
And the thing is, when I'm actually here, I keep myself on New York Times, so I tend to be up at 5 o'clock.
Yes, the same thing's happening to me out here. Get up 5, go run.
You guys are gluttons for punishment.
Go to the gym.
Yeah,
by the time I'm done, it's 8:30, and I'm ready for the day, and everybody's just getting up. It's great.
I could talk about you working out all day, but we're going to get right into the movie talk.
All right.
And now that we're a week after Interstellar is opened, I feel like if you haven't seen it by now, that's your fault.
Yes.
We're going to get into some Interstellar stuff. Neil, what'd you think of the movie?
That's an interesting question. I can understand how people would both love it and hate it. I was very much in between. I think it's entertaining. It is an enormous mess and I've been greatly entertained this week reading the stories about poking all the plot holes in the movie. You know, I mean, you got to give Nolan credit. He swings for the fences.
Yeah, exactly. I really admired and respected the ambition.
Yeah, I mean, he is an incredibly ambitious guy, and I felt that way with Dark Knight Rises, which is a movie I hated, but I respected the fact that he was trying to do big things.
Okay.
You know?
Where'd you fall on it?
I agree with him. I was in between. I liked it, didn't love it. It had moments of sheer brilliance, but it was a little too ambitious. You know?
I agree. That's 100%. I'm the same way.
Okay. I liked it more than I thought that I would. And it was the first Nolan movie that made me tear up and cry.
Well, that's probably because
I'm a
it's
baby.
the first one he's done with even the shred of emotion in it.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's been accused of being a cold filmmaker.
Ironically, yeah, the theme and the character arc was more interesting than the science and the space travel.
Exactly. I really thought he did a good job with the father-daughter relationship there.
Except for the end, when he shows up after he's been dead, presumed dead for 100 years, and she hasn't seen him, and she's waited her whole life for him, and then she says, "Okay, time to go now." She shoos him out after 2 minutes, and nobody else in the family, they don't want to meet their great-great-grandfather.
That's a good point. Where's the brother too? I guess he died.
He's dead. Oh yeah, he's dead. Casey Affleck died in the field.
Fair point, but I also feel like, you know, after decades away, she had probably moved on a little bit.
That's true, but at the same time, she's so, you know, she comes in and she's like, "I knew you were alive. It was me. It was you. I knew it was you. I told everybody it was you. Oh my God, you're alive. Tell me about everything. Tell me about your journeys. Tell me about everything." No, it's go find dead Anne Hathaway.
No, but the interesting thing is, this is the weekend that's going to count. This is the weekend to see if it has legs or not.
That's true, and I think that it will. From what I've heard from our box office guru, Todd Cunningham, it looks like this movie is going to have some legs. It's going to stick around at least until Hunger Games arrives.
So what do you think the drop's going to be this week?
I don't know that kind of stuff. I mean, you know...
Take a guess.
48.
48?
Yeah.
I would have said right around 50.
I'm going to gamble, say 60, 70.
No.
Well, I mean, no. I don't think... I think you're wrong, and here's why. Because I think that Dumb and Dumber 2 is the only big release coming out this weekend, and I don't think that is going to take away all that much of the audience. And I think that everybody who wanted to see Big Hero 6 has seen Big Hero 6.
Right. I think that people have been waiting to see it in these optimal conditions.
Yes.
Like a lot of people wanted to see it in IMAX, and IMAX was sold out all last week, and so maybe they've waited. I also think, you know, word of mouth, it's at least the movie that everybody's talking about right now, for better or worse.
But
it's
IMAX
like Gone Girl.
I'm sorry, IMAX counts for how much of the box office?
That's true. I mean, it's only, I don't know how many
Less
theaters
than
they have in the U.S. You're right.
That's true, but it is more money coming in for each ticket.
And I also think that...
extra 50% more ticket price.
I also think, because it was so confusing, there will be people seeing it again. There will be a lot of second...
Also, by the way, can we talk a bit just for a second about the sound issues in that movie?
The TCL Chinese Theater, yes.
I was at the Chinese Theater, too.
Me too.
I couldn't understand half of what was going on. I mean, there's this big speech at the end that old Murph gives over this last montage. I'm not going to give away what it is. I couldn't give away what it was, even if I wanted to, because I didn't understand what the hell she was talking about, because the music was overloaded. I'm literally listening to this final speech and saying, I don't know what she's saying. What is she saying?
Yeah, I'm not someone who typically keys in on those sorts of things and zeroes in on those kinds of issues, but it was noticeable in the Chinese, and I definitely missed some dialogue. I mean, I don't think it was particularly important dialogue.
I think the last couple lines of the movie are important dialogue. Especially when they're featured in a voiceover as we're seeing this whole montage of what's happening next.
I think Chris Nolan needs a new sound editor. This is happening quite too much. This, The Dark Knight Rises. Come on.
Well, that's the funny thing is that people have said, like, does Christopher Nolan have a hearing problem? Like, either he can't hear something well, or maybe he has, like, superhuman hearing, and he's hearing things that even the sound people don't hear.
He's hearing this podcast, bro. You need a new sound editor.
Oh, Jesus.
For real.
But I don't know. I liked it more than Inception, which I thought was cold, and I could not get into it emotionally.
I have to be honest. I have Memento is the only. I've seen every one of his movies. I haven't seen The Following.
Awesome.
I haven't seen
Yeah, it's good.
I haven't seen Following. But other than that, I've seen all of his movies, and I have been disappointed in every one since Memento. And I think that Memento
Not even The Dark Knight?
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight's brilliant.
I have big problems with The Dark Knight.
Interesting.
I have big problems with The Dark Knight,
Okay.
which we can talk about or we can discuss another time.
Yeah,
But
no,
I
I as much time as I would like to spend talking about Christopher Nolan and Memento and breaking that movie down, I think we should probably move on. But so Interstellar, recommend or not?
recommend specifically to certain people and not to others.
Do you recommend seeing it in IMAX?
Yes, absolutely in IMAX.
You?
Soft consider.
Soft consider.
Soft consider. Yeah.
That is script coverage speak, guys,
Yes.
in the development
Soft
world.
consider.
All right, well let's talk about this week's news breaks.
Okay.
And forgive me, I don't have access to the stuff that Reilly does. So we don't have a hopeful news break this week. I know we typically do one. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Schmoville. If you could still like this podcast and rate it and comment it highly and give me high marks so that Reilly doesn't chew me out when he gets back, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, we're going to move on to the news stuff right now. Let's kick it off with Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
A couple days ago, two reporters who may or may not be on this podcast right now unleashed a story about Michelle MacLaren being the WB's choice to direct Wonder Woman.
Correct. Front runner.
How? Tell me about that. You're the scoop master, dude.
Basically, there was a story that came out that they were looking at. They wanted
for a
female,
woman to do it,
right?
yeah.
Then Lexi,
Which I don't think is true. From what I heard, they wanted the best person for the job.
that's every student. They always going to want best person for the job.
Right.
So.
I just think I do not believe that they were dead set on hiring a female filmmaker.
I agree.
Okay.
I think it's just something that came up.
But regardless, it made us sniff around, some of the top female filmmakers, and what did you sort of find over the course of your reporting?
Another thing is, I was on Suicide Squad. That's when I forgot her name, Cara Delevingne. There you go,
Yes.
Cara Delevingne, the Harley Quinn. So then Lexi Alexander was making news per se,
right,
for passing, or if they offered, they would pass. So it's like, all right,
she was preemptively passing,
and she made some good points. I actually thought about the responsibility that a female filmmaker is going to have, all this pressure, and it's almost like a no-win because you are dealing with a script that is probably already in place.
Right.
You don't even get to cast your leading lady. She's already there for you.
There,
you are there to fulfill a studio's vision, but at the same time, it's like, how do you walk away from that just because those elements are in place? You still have room to be creative and bring your own thing to it, no?
Right. Absolutely. So when I read her story, and I think it was in Hollywood Reporter, it's like, yeah, it'd be interesting. I wasn't on it for like months already. It's just something I read. Let me make some calls, find out. So I do my usual due diligence and stuff, and then I got a call from a source. I'm pretty sure you have a source that only comes through maybe 2 to 4 times a year, but every time they do, it's huge home runs.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is one of those guys. So it's like, ooh, you got something for me. So I asked him, what's going? Who's up for Wonder Woman? And then he or she, pretty much, or it.
They, yeah.
It's like. They've been doing Gal Gadot's team was doing due diligence. Okay, basically. So when they got back to me, I was like, okay, that's usually when it's to that stage, because it means something's bound to happen and they're gonna end up working together. So it's like, what slick trade reporter could I call to help me wingman this thing? We'll do
it was a bit of a tag team.
So I call you.
But to be fair, while I had certainly heard the name floated, I did not have it with the sort of certainty that I think that you had it. But that prompted me to make some calls, and then we compared notes, and we felt like it was the right time to move a story. And
sharing is caring.
Right, and several minutes later, Variety and Hollywood Reporter chimed in.
Hot.
So
I get a kick out of that. Like when you or I or we drop a story or something, and then the other trades follow.
Right, someone in some other office somewhere is getting yelled at or hustling.
Oh, absolutely. And then when it starts trending, like on Facebook and social media, like you did last Friday.
Yeah.
We'll
get into that. But what do you think of Michelle MacLaren?
I believe I had that.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Is you and I, when we sat down over drinks last month, we had a conversation about this very thing.
That's right.
And I said it's going to be Michelle MacLaren.
You were right.
Yes.
I totally remember that. He is correct.
And great choice, by the way. The episodes of Game of Thrones, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
and a couple of some of the best episodes of Breaking Bad.
Come on.
This is one of the, I don't want to say rare, but it is. It's one of the rare times where a studio has gotten it right. This decision makes sense for Warner Brothers and DC, and frankly, the job makes sense for Michelle MacLaren.
I love everything about this for everybody involved. And I mean, she hasn't directed any features.
She has, but like very small direct-to-video kind of stuff.
A
little bit schlocky.
Nothing major.
No.
But WB, though, I'm sorry. WB, though, they're kind of biting what Marvel does. Let's look for some hot TV directors and put them on and stuff, They did the kind of same thing.
But that's not new.
They're not the first. It's not like Marvel was the first.
Mimi Later was a terrific TV director for years, and then got a chance to do a couple of big budget. And before that, The Peacemaker, which is not a bad movie.
I still love it.
The George Clooney, Nicole Kidman movie is not a bad movie.
Yeah. Okay.
But with some great action scenes.
The first DreamWorks movie.
Yeah, that's right. WB, Warner Brothers gets a director that they can manage. They get, they get the appropriate press that they want. That they get a woman director to do it. Michelle MacLaren gets a spectacular opportunity, and it's not like she hasn't cut her teeth with this, feature-sized film TV shows that she's doing.
I think she would
Game
deliver.
of Thrones and Breaking Bad is just, those look at
Walking Dead too.
Else.
I mean, I think she's going to deliver a badass Wonder Woman if it sticks. And we all saw what happened with Patty Jenkins. But yeah,
Patty Jenkins. Here's the difference. I think is Patty Jenkins had made Monster and was very much came from the indie world and kind of brought this whole thing to Thor, which was, and also Natalie Portman had been lobbying for Patty Jenkins to do it. She came in and walked into a buzzsaw. I think that she had no idea what she was dealing with Kevin Feige and Marvel, and realizing that no, you're part of a team here, and this is how we do things at Marvel.
I see.
And with Michelle MacLaren, I think it's a totally different. I
Yeah,
think
you're right.
I still think they don't quite know what they're doing.
It's not fair to compare the two just because they are women. You're completely right about that. So yeah, guys, I think that's a unanimous call. We are all very excited about Michelle MacLaren and what she could bring to a Wonder Woman movie.
It's always good to see a fresh new voice and face. Directing a movie, you can see what they bring to the table.
Look, and it worked with Alan Taylor with Thor: The Dark World.
Right.
That's a good movie.
So yeah, now let's move to another movie in the DC universe, Suicide Squad, which is shaping up to be a doozy right now.
Absolutely.
So last Friday I reported that Jared Leto, Oscar-winning star of Dallas Buyers Club, and several David Fincher movies, and frontman for 30 Seconds to Mars,
and Jordan Catalano,
is in talks basically to play the Joker in Suicide Squad. I think it makes sense. I think he could pull it off. It is a lot to ask of an actor to step into those shoes, that were filled by Nicholson and Heath Ledger, who won an Oscar,
and
a posthumous
Cesar Romero.
Oscar. Yes, of course. I don't know how much the audience for Batman v Superman is going to be that familiar with Cesar Romero, but
there'll be
big
a few
news.
Of us. There'll be a few of us.
There will be a few. Yes. What do you guys think of it, Jared Leto?
No, very hot choice, I think. Originally, though, I thought him and Gosling were up for Deadshot.
Interesting.
I didn't like peruse and stuff. Oh, is it Joker or Harley?
Who is Will Smith up for? That's what I can't figure out. Captain Boomerang?
Captain Boomerang, yes.
Isn't he? But is he going to make him Australian? Are they going to make him Australian, like in the book?
No, he's not Australian in the
I don't think Will Smith is doing.
Well, that's
Australian.
what I'm curious about, because like Captain Boomerang, the whole point is he's this Aussie guy,
Boomerang
Digger or something, and he's master with a boomerang because he's Aussie.
I don't think personally he's as attached to this as he was to Brilliance.
Right, exactly, and that's always the case with Will Smith.
Yeah.
He's in until he's out, guys.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, real quickly to interject, I've been hearing really good things about his football concussion movie.
Okay.
I heard it's like you don't even necessarily recognize him. It's kind of transformative and could be like Aaron Brockovich for men.
No, I mean I read the Suicide Script screenplay and stuff, and I'm seeing it like Will Smith's not going to do this. Well,
we'll see. We'll
play
see.
a second banana to like Jay Courtney. Come on.
Yeah, I like the Jay Courtney casting as Deadshot. I think that's good. But I also like the Jared Leto thing as Joker, and we were talking about this a little bit before we started. I always thought after Heath Ledger died that if Chris Nolan had decided to put the Joker in as a cameo or something in the third Rises, which would have been a great story beat, I thought. He didn't go that way. But I thought that any young actor who really wanted to prove himself would have stepped into that, been eager to step into those shoes and say, and partly as a tribute to Heath, I thought Jake Gyllenhaal should have done it.
Interesting.
With because they were so tight. But I think that the whole idea of stepping into these giant shoes is an attraction to these, is something that attracts these guys rather than puts them off. Like if you really got your stones and you really, you've made your bones and Leto has, why not do it?
I mean, listen, what happened to Heath Ledger was terrible and tragic and sad, but you can't sideline the Joker, Batman's, arch rival and nemesis, just because of that. This character, I get keeping him on the bench for Rises sort of out of respect for Ledger's memory, but it is time, I think, if you're making, superhero movies are now, and who knows if they're going to be this way in 10 years. Everything is cyclical.
Marvel seems to think so.
You have to strike now. And it's like you need to put the Joker in one of these movies.
That being said, they could have waited a tad longer. Like originally, what they wrote is fine as is. It's great. You know what I'm saying? Basically, Deadshot, Vixen, and Captain Boomerang, Flag, Amanda Waller, something I'm tracking right now. Right. Probably give my competition a leg up, but it's fine. I think it's a little too soon. Start small like they did originally. I don't know what Ayer's doing his polish right now and stuff, so it's going to be interesting. But to go for the jugular and put in your heaviest of hitters. Like when Marvel started, they didn't have Spider-Man. They put Iron Man, which was considered a second, third tier character.
They didn't have Spider-Man.
Right. So the same thing here. Don't go for the jugular on your first shot out unless they're establishing their universe that quickly.
I think it's establishing the universe because I think that the Joker. You don't make the Joker look, and we're getting into comic book geeks, like heavy duty comic book geekery here.
That's okay. I think our audience is used to it, right?
But the Joker was never a member of the Suicide Squad.
No, he was.
Comic book, and he's not a dependent. He's so psychopathic that you don't make him a part of the team. So if anything, you establish him in the world.
Yes.
So he eventually appears in the Ben Affleck standalone Batman movie and Justice League or something like that as one of the villains. But you give him a strong cameo here, and that's how you introduce him. You introduce Harley Quinn that way because you can't have Harley Quinn without the Joker.
Exactly.
We're not sure how big these roles are. For the
I suspect that the Suicide Squad part for the Joker would be relatively small. I think it would be a glorified cameo.
Here's the thing, though. It's like I don't think that, and I know I don't think anybody knows who is on the Suicide Squad and who isn't. What we know it as is just villains. A bunch of villains, and in that sense, I think the Joker could be just a full-fledged character within that squad. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it's used, and I'm sure you'll be trying to get your hands on Ayer's rewrite.
Everybody will, but no, by that time it'll be under lock and key.
I'm very intrigued by it. I mean, certainly much more than and the fact that I thought that it was. I'm hit or miss with Ayer. Like I happen to like End of Watch. I was not a huge fan of Fury.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Same.
And Sabotage was.
Oh my God!
Best left unsaid.
It was a hot mess.
I left it unsaid, in fact.
Wow.
So I actually thought it was great. It was a great marriage of material to director. So I'm very interested to see what he does because I'm not a Zack Sneider fan. I mean, no offense. I know that he has his supporters. I don't happen to like Man of Steel. I don't happen to like. Well, really, any of his movies.
Concept-wise, I think Suicide Squad really excites me. I like
that's the one of the DC movies. That's the one that excites me the most currently.
So,
although now that Michelle McLaren does Wonder Woman, that excites me too.
Yes, exactly. And we will use that cue to move on to more villain talk in another big franchise. Reports coming out of the UK yesterday. No one has been able to confirm them yet, but Christoph Waltz, it seems, the two-time Oscar winner, appears set to be the Bond villain or something to that effect.
It's so exciting.
What do you guys think?
Could he be playing Blofeld?
That's the question.
That is the question, and that
awesome.
was the rumor.
God, yes.
That was the rumor when we had heard that Chiwetel Ejiofor was in talks, which he was, but several weeks ago he fell out. We almost did a story about that, saying, to let everyone know he's not going to be in the Bond movie, but we decided against it because we didn't want to tip our hand to the competition. But it seems it didn't matter. Baz Manning Boy really plugged in over at the Daily Mail. He's a UK journalist, and this is a UK franchise run by Eon Productions. I mean, Sony and MGM do not comment on casting stuff. It all comes out of Eon.
All Eon, yeah.
Right. So
Eon stands for.
I'm sorry.
Eon stands for.
I'm
everything or nothing.
That's badass.
It's true.
That's a really cool.
They're for sure nothing with the press. You know, that's
yeah.
It's like I don't.
But
get
that's
that.
the whole deal with Barbara Broccoli and her brother Michael
G. Wilson.
Yes, thank you. Control that stuff with an iron hand. Like that's part of the deal. Nothing gets out without their say.
So yes, so we had these reports about Christoph Waltz. Now, obviously, he's played a bunch of villains, and it is getting a little tiresome. You know, him playing all these villains, but at the same time, he's just so good. Who cares?
He's not a villain in Django, though.
No, he was an awesome hero. Yeah. I don't know.
He's a villain in Big Eyes coming up, which is a movie I did not like.
Oh, did you see it last night?
No,
You'd seen it before.
I've seen it before.
Look at this guy. Okay.
Well, I'm not supposed to say that, but I saw it before.
Right, it's too late.
Yeah.
He was corny in the Green
Hornet.
He's not. And the thing is I felt it seemed like Burton didn't direct him at all. He just said, you know what,
do your thing.
Christoph, I'm going to pay attention to this fabulous production design over here, and I'm just going to let you do whatever you want.
She said, corny and Green Hornet.
Corny and Green Hornet. He was dope in Django.
I mean, Water for Elephants. He's just always, not always, but he's the bad guy a lot.
Well, Christoph Waltz is when he has a strong director, and Sam Mendes is a strong director. Yeah. I think that if you rein him in, he is incredibly talented and will be a great villain.
He's wonderful. The guy's got 2 Oscars.
Yeah, both for Tarantino movies.
Right.
But the thing is, it's not just about scenery chewing. Like this kind of thing. Like I loved Skyfall. I thought Skyfall was genius. Yeah. I even like Quantum of Solace. Like I've enjoyed all 3 Craig movies. And the fact that Mendes is back and the same writing team is back and all the big players, they've now rebooted the franchise. Right. I'm very excited for it.
I think if you give Waltz a strong character and something where he can put his own twist on it, that's different from the characters he's played before, it could be awesome. And that's how we tweeted out yesterday. Awesome report out of the UK.
Absolutely.
You seem to be agreeing a lot. I'm gonna have to shake whatever you say next.
Yeah, we gotta get contrarian, guys.
Whatever the next thing you say is, I'm gonna call you a shithead.
There's a few things here that could spur that kind of debate. It seems the next movie that Universal's gonna do in its monster movie franchise is The Wolfman.
You're a shithead.
Explicit. Yeah, no. So Universal is working on The Mummy now with like Alex Kurtzman, right? Is that it? So,
yeah. Alex Kurtzman is, and he's kind of the showrunner.
He's shepherding this universe, the UMMU, as I've christened it.
The what? The UMMU?
Yeah, Universal Monster Movie.
So
Universe.
Can we just call it Umu?
Umu. I call it
That's
Umu.
hilarious. Let's start using that. Even though nobody will really care, about the Umu.
So they're doing The Mummy, then they're doing Wolfman, and it's like, you already made these movies a few years ago. Why don't you start anywhere else?
Exactly.
Anywhere.
Well, I mean, there have been more Dracula movies than we care to count.
The last one was awful.
The last one, there was with the one
Luke
last
Evans
month.
One's awful.
Yeah, I didn't even bother.
Neither did I.
We've gone through several mummies within the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah, which weren't good either.
Which also weren't good.
They made money, though.
Rachel Weisz did look awfully good in the first
She
season.
sure did. And then The Wolfman with
Wolfman,
Benicio, which I actually kind of liked.
Which has some great stuff in it.
Yeah.
It has some great stuff in it. But, I mean, where else do you
You're
start?
looking at me like you're crazy, bro.
No, because I have a memory. I almost got into a fight. Like a physical fight inside the media screening for Wolfman a few years ago.
What? First of all, who is picking a fight with you? What media
why?
member? Like, what other media members are your size?
Devin Faraci was sitting with Jeremy Smith, so the guy was, in Jeremy's chair or something, and they were having words, and the guy started puffing up, and Jeremy, he's a small guy and stuff. So I stood up from, my bodyguard.
That's a good guy, yeah.
Like, so sit down, and I pretty much avoided the catastrophe.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's puffing their chest to you.
I was the
hero. You were the
anti-Christoph
Waltz.
I was the anti-Christoph Waltz.
Where else would you start? I mean, Frankenstein. There's a new Frankenstein movie out every 6 months.
Well, Frankenstein. That's the thing. They already have the Daniel Radcliffe one of Fox. That's going to be coming out.
Right, and they just had that horrible Aaron Eckhart movie that came out.
Oh yeah, Frankenstein. I avoided that one like the plague.
I didn't have to see it to know that it's horrible.
Right.
If it doesn't screen for critics before it comes out, it's an awful movie. If there's there's not even an all media screening.
Oh my God! Yes.
Then it's an awful movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to say we want to preserve all the.
Well, let me ask you this: What do you guys want from a new Wolfman movie? What are you hoping for?
I will say first and foremost that Aaron Guzikowski is a terrific writer, very talented guy who did Prisoners, who did The Red Road, which I love on Sundance TV, and is a lovely guy on top of it. So I thought that was a great hire. And Aaron, if you're watching or listening, kudos. But what I want to see is I want to see a good old-fashioned horror movie. Like the genius of these movies and what made them so big 70, 80 years ago is that they were just good old-fashioned scare fests.
Right. Yeah, I don't need a 4-quadrant family-friendly monster movie.
I don't need a tent pole. I mean, I just give us something. I don't need to have crazy special effects or anything like that. Just give us a good old-fashioned. I mean, that's why horror. The best horror is the stuff that it just they're trying to do is scare us.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. I just thought of this, and it's probably silly. I'm not one of these people who's like, let's try and make gender swap every big role and that kind of thing. But what if there was the Wolf Woman?
Wolf Woman, that'd be hot.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Just a hairy chick.
But when she wolfs out, will she be topless or?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I have a little to add to this.
Let's move on. I think that's the right time. Real quickly, I mean, I did want to ask about the Ben-Hur remake. Because
why?
When I tell people that they're remaking Ben-Hur, there are some strong feelings, at least from like my parents, those types of older folks. Is this a bad idea? Is this a horrible idea?
Bad, horrible, and terrible.
It's not a good idea.
I don't understand it. From visionary filmmaker Timur Bekmambetov.
I don't understand. Look, I don't understand why they remake Exodus. No. I mean, what's the point? I mean, next they're going to be remaking Omega Man. Oh wait, never mind. Just.
Timur, Jesus
Charlton
Christ.
Heston movies. See where I went there?
Exodus, yes, that's the white Egyptian movie.
Yeah.
And we're getting a white Egyptian movie again with Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton. I don't get it. I feel like, it's I mean, people complain about the length of movies already, and now you're going to remake a 3.5-hour epic that's 65 years old.
Well, I definitely don't think it's going to be 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I like Jack Houston, but I mean, I don't see him as...
Yeah, the casting has perplexed me a little bit. But I understand why they're doing it. I mean, with the faith-based crowds, look at how much Noah made this year. Noah was a hit.
Was it?
Overseas?
I think so. Didn't Noah make close to $400 million?
I don't know about worldwide. I know that domestically, if it cracked 100, it barely cracked 100. And it was a $150 million movie. $140 million movie.
Yeah, no doubt it was expensive, but
I don't know what the
It made just over $300 million worldwide.
It did.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for fact checking.
All right, so then basically it broke even, maybe.
Yeah,
362. Yeah. But I don't know, $362 million for friggin' Noah with Russell Crowe. Like that's not too shabby. It did cost a lot, but at the same time, that's a pretty sizable
140 is
gross.
what they're reporting is what it cost. I think it probably costs a lot more than that.
That's true. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. Ben-Hur, we'll see. Jack Houston, that's a big role for him. It's a big test.
Look, my general rule of thumb is judge when you've seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm a glutton for punishment. I'll probably see the movie. Like I say, I have no expectations for Batman, Superman, for instance, but I'm still going to go see the movie. I mean, I can't help myself.
You don't have no expectations for BVS?
I expect it to be awful.
Oh, come on.
I do not expect it to be very good. Man of Steel was awful. Man of Steel was so terrible.
I can't wait for Affleck as Batman.
Oh, Affleck's Batman's going to be...
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome.
I have no problem with Affleck as Batman. I just don't think... I don't have any faith in Zack Sneider. Although I do like the fact that Chris Terrio came in and rewrote the script from David Goyer, who was another writer.
Yeah, Chris Terrio's definitely a good writer. Yeah. We've got about 15 minutes left. A few more things to talk about.
Okay.
I really like The Rock and Kevin Hart teaming up for this movie Central Intelligence. Did you see that announcement?
Twins 2?
You're rolling your eyes. Why are you rolling your eyes?
I don't like when The Rock does comedy. He comes off like a cornball, man. You should just stick to... You
didn't like The Tooth Fairy?
I didn't bother. No way.
I have a Tooth Fairy poster above my bed, actually.
I believe that.
The ladies
to impress the ladies. I was just going to say,
Tooth
to impress
Fairy.
the ladies.
Actually, I have a Sounds of the Lambs poster above my bed, and it creeps women out.
That actually sounds more likely.
Not that women are ever in my bedroom. Anyways, Rock and Kevin Hart, Central Intelligence. I love these two performers. They're both super charming guys. I do like when The Rock does comedy. And I am really looking forward to the Baywatch movie, believe it or not.
Oh my God.
I think that is like genius casting.
I'll be there.
What was that? I don't even remember.
Wait, that's the theme song, right?
I guess you're right. I just remember the drums where it's like dun, 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 dun,
I'm lost here. I never watched Baywatch.
You never watched Baywatch?
No.
I used to watch it with my
I was
old
the right
man.
age too, and I never watched
Oh
it.
yeah, my dad loved all those girls running around.
Yeah, they're running. They're always running.
But I like The Rock and Be Cool. I think is really funny.
Yes.
In a terrible, not a good movie.
No, not a good
he's
movie.
The one,
but
he's the one
exactly.
because I love Get Shorty. Like almost my love of Get Shorty is fairly irrational. But I was so excited for Be Cool, and it is just so awful. But he's very good in it as the gay bodyguard.
Well, that's one of those movies like Dumb and Dumber this weekend. That was just like they took way too long to make a sequel to Get Shorty. But there was a while. It was like a decade in between, right?
Yeah, and they didn't have Scott Frank writing it and Barry Sonnenfeld directing it.
Right.
That
but
didn't help.
I don't know. I like the potential, and I liked how they sort of coordinated the social media thing. I just think these guys, they play to the base, they know their audience, and they serve it well. Like
I think it's a good idea. I like it. I'm with you on this.
they've been trying to do that for a while, and Ed Helms was attached, and
Meh.
Okay, fair enough. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Edward Snowden.
Have you seen Citizen 4 yet?
Yes, and I.
Have you seen Citizen 4
haven't
yet?
seen it.
It was really.
It's a very
really
good movie. It's
Very
a little
interesting.
overrated, I think. I think that it's not a Best Picture. It should not be the Best Picture. They're
Best
talking
documentary or Best
no,
Picture?
there's discussion of it in being in the Best Picture race,
No
which is ridiculous.
way.
And I don't think it's
No.
not even the best documentary I've seen this year.
They talk about that all the time. They're like, a documentary is going to
I'm just
crack
telling
the
you.
field.
I'm
No.
just telling you because I deal with the Oscar race a lot.
Oh, look at that.
But this is why you
He's
brought me
hearing
here.
things. You're right. He's talking to those Academy members.
But I think that Citizen 4 is I'm of the opinion, if we're going to get political just for a moment because of the subject matter, I'm of the opinion that Snowden is a traitor. I have friends who think he's a hero, and it's okay to have that those two
That's
opinions.
the fascinating dichotomy.
That's the dichotomy. Having seen the movie, I felt like okay, I have a different perspective on why he did what he did. It lessens my edge against him, but I think that there's nothing dynamic about the filmmaking. It's just basically she got a scoop, she put it on film for 2 hours, and it's an interesting, engaging film.
Right.
But if you look at a movie like Red Army or the Glenn Campbell movie, I'll Be Me, those are much more cinematic. Those are better films, and I think better documentaries.
But in terms of this, the feature, like, don't you think that Oliver Stone is kind of the right guy for this? Do you like his
but I
kind of
mean,
stuff?
I don't know what more you bring to it. It's like we were talking beforehand about movies that we have seen that nothing new was brought to the table.
Oh, okay.
Like you said, American Sniper was like you didn't think there was anything new. I felt the same thing way about Rosewater. It's a properly well put together movie, but it brings nothing new.
So
to
you
the
don't see how a
equation.
feature sort of...
And I don't know what Oliver Stone does that Citizen 4 doesn't already do, except for give it to a wider audience. But even then, it's like he's going to give his own ultra-lefty, anti-America spin
It's
to it.
like probably gonna be like the Julian Assange movie.
Right, I was just going to bring that up with
Well,
the
that's
Fifth
the thing,
Estate
yeah.
and the We Steal Secrets.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I want to walk that back a little bit. I didn't mean to call Oliver Stone anti-American. I know that he has a perspective that's certainly can be construed that way, but I don't mean to call him less than a patriot.
Of course not, no.
So he's a veteran of the Vietnam War, and we should respect.
Yeah, I just like the chance that we're getting to talk about movies that aren't necessarily comic book movies. There's a few other, but there were a few other things this week.
I try to raise the IQ a little bit when I walk into the room.
Yes, elevating the discussion here
Elevated
on the Popcorn
discussion.
Talk Network.
The favorite word in Hollywood, elevated.
Right. Speaking of elevated, we're getting up there in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yes.
We're talking about 8 and 9 already, and Mike Fleming over at Deadline dropped a rumor this week that Justin Lin may be returning to
Your
direct.
boy, yeah, I
Was
saw
it
that.
was it 8 and 9 or just 8? I forget.
The finale. I just read
just said the
same.
finale. It'll
I
probably
read-
be like
I read both.
one of those 2-part finales.
I read
think
both.
that's probably what it
Yeah,
is.
that
That's
it
like
was-
the new thing, yeah.
Yeah,
like Avengers: Infinity War, 2 movies.
Right.
Hobbit, 2 movies. Now I guess they're gonna end Fast and Furious the same way.
Justin Lin coming back. Good call. You like that for the franchise and for him, or should he have moved on by now?
Is he still doing the Aaron Cross film? I've been out of the loop on the Bourne
He's
thing. Or is that like dead?
Oh, you're right. I think, yeah, I don't know. We'll see about
So
that.
if the Aaron Cross movie's dead and Renner's been kicked to the curb,
It's not.
It's not.
No, it's not. They've been Universal has been saying just because Damon and Greengrass are back, we're still going to move.
But that
forward.
one will be after that movie, right?
I don't think
it's probably 2 years after the new Bourne movie, which is 2 years away. So now we're talking 4 years. So he's got time. to direct a Fast and Furious movie.
They've not been specific about that, but I know that they have not actually shot the new Aaron Cross movie.
That's just roughly been the time frame, though.
Like
every other
story,
summer.
and according to my sources, Universal wasn't too keen on the Aaron Cross thing. That's why when they approached Damon again in the spring was when I broke it and stuff. They were like, we want you back. We'll do anything, So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But if let's say for sake of conversation, they did can the Aaron Cross movie, I guess it'd be good severance for him to finish what he started on Fast and Furious.
Has Justin Lin done anything since Fast and Furious 6? Did he go off and direct another movie, or he was going to go off and direct this one?
Yeah,
and then it never happened.
No, it didn't happen. No.
Okay.
Right, and he's doing True Detective a couple of episodes.
Yes,
right. That's
the first 2 episodes. That's right.
So yeah, he's been working on that. I don't know. By the way, if you could have someone, obviously you can't replace Paul Walker. He's irreplaceable, and his passing is going to be a big blow for that franchise. But if you had to sort of have another protagonist alongside Vin Diesel or whatever, who would you like to see join the franchise in that sort of good guy role?
Basically, the Fast and Furious movies are centered towards urban audiences. So what white kid is cool to urban audiences right now is because that's what Paul Walker represented.
Interesting.
He was, like, for lack of a better word, he was the white kid for the urbans, is what I heard. I was like, really, bro? All right, but...
Because I could see Jake joining that
I
franchise.
actually was thinking that.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
But I mentioned him before, and I didn't want to seem like I was stuck on Jake Gyllenhaal. Because you and I both just interviewed him within the last couple weeks.
And
great picture.
What?
The Great Picture.
Yeah,
right. Yes, exactly. And I may have seen a trailer for one of his upcoming movies that looks awesome.
The one where he's a lefty.
And maybe that one.
Yeah. Potentially. It looks, because I asked him about that. He said he was very excited about it.
It looks really good when you see the first look photos. I don't know when Weinstein Company's going to put them online. It's pretty. He got ripped.
Yeah, he's jacked out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
So he lost weight for Nightcrawler. And
he lost 30 pounds for Nightcrawler, and
Right.
I think he put 50 back on for...
Dude, yeah.
I always see him at Runyon topless, and the girls are behind him like,
it was funny. I saw American Sniper this week, as you mentioned, and Bradley Cooper, dude, he got big.
Sierra Miller said that he put on 40 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, and Jeff Wells is like, Bradley looks fat. He's pushing the Chris Pratt territory.
I don't agree with Wells on anything.
Dude, he looked like a friggin' icebox. Like, he was just, like, built. He looked like Hugh Jackman or something.
He wasn't as ripped as Hugh Jackman, was he?
Not in, like, the stomach, but, like, the shoulders were just,
he was a bulky guy.
Yeah, he was big.
Yeah, he went on an eating binge and put on... I'm pretty sure there was some body fat in there, not all muscle.
But I bought him as a Navy SEAL. I thought
yourself
Bradley
whatever
Cooper,
you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I thought Bradley Cooper did a good job in American Sniper. I think I was let down by the script. I wanted more emotion. I know you guys haven't seen it yet.
Unfortunately, I have to wait for the old media. I'm not AFI fabulous.
Yeah, no, I saw a few things at AFI. I saw Inherent Vice, which was kind of disappointing.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not a big PTA fan. I haven't seen the movie yet. I read the book, which I enjoyed.
Okay.
But the book is dense. Like, people said
Yeah.
the movie is really dense.
Didn't
the book
understand
is really,
it.
Yeah,
It was
the
very
book is
confusing.
very dense.
Good performances. Josh Brolin's fun. Martin Short is actually really
I love Martin
fun.
Short.
What else did I see at AFI? A Most Violent Year with Oscar Isaac, our Star Wars boy. He's excellent. And Jessica Chastain's really good as well. I like that one. The Gambler with Marky Mark.
Good.
Disappointing as well.
Your boy from Boston.
Yeah. Again, really good as a guy with sort of like a death wish who doesn't give a shit about anything. But less good as an English professor.
Yeah.
Mark, English professor?
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg, PhD.
Yeah, you can't just slap a pair of glasses on like this and go be a professor.
It worked for me.
And then I saw Selma. Selma's excellent.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's going to be a big. That's
contender.
Yeah, big time.
Oh boy.
It's like the Black Lincoln.
Really? I can't wait for that.
But honestly, better. It was better than Lincoln.
Really?
I think they're going to put that on the poster. The Black Lincoln.
The Black Lincoln.
God.
Jeff Sneider, the rap.
The Black. Oh my God! I would hang that up in my bedroom.
We got about 5 to 10 minutes left. 5 minutes left. We're getting the signal.
5.
Let's talk about Quentin Tarantino
but
for
we're
a
having
second.
so much fun.
Oh God, yes, Tarantino.
We'll kind of start to wrap it up there. Tarantino has come out this week and said, he definitely expects to retire after his 10th film.
Right.
Inglourious Basterds is, The Hateful Eight is going to be his 9th film, right?
No, his 8th.
It's 8th.
Because Kill Bill, he's counting as one movie.
Interesting.
Because I counted him up when I saw this, because I thought he did 9. Kill Bill is parts 1 and 2. He's counting as one film.
I see.
So there's one more after Hateful Eight.
2 more.
Two more
Two
after
more.
Hateful Eight.
Two more after
What
Hateful
now?
Eight.
I'm sure that there will be some original writing in there, but he's obviously a guy who has a ton of scripts in the drawer. I think that we know what some of those are. If you could, see him pull one of those out, which one would it be? Do you guys
anything that's not a Western? Okay, now he's doing another Western, bro.
I think
okay.
he's scratching that itch with this one.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Enough with the Westerns. Come back to modern day. Let's see like a contemporary movie, thriller, or crime film or something. But enough with the Westerns.
I think his 2 best movies are his first 2 movies, and they're very much influenced by the world of Elmore Leonard. And I'm an Elmore Leonard freak myself. And ironically, the Elmore Leonard adaptation he did, Jackie Brown, based on Rum Punch. Is not a terribly good movie, I don't think. I think it tends to ramble.
Dude, that is blasphemy. Up in this, you come
Jackie
on my show and you start dissing Jackie Brown.
I love Pam Grier. I think that Jackie
man.
Brown just kind of rambles, but
You're not coming back on.
Do I have to get in between you?
well,
two?
in that case,
Jackie Brown is
I
awesome.
might as well torch this shit before I
right, exactly. Burn it down. Well, I agree with you that Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction are his best
and
two
I
movies.
think that's where he traveled. I mean, look, all of his movies have been interesting in some fashion, except for Death Proof.
Okay.
Which I found just tedious.
Okay.
But I think that if he returned, I would love to see him return to that world.
Well, specifically that world, like, would you leave well enough alone, or would you go do the Vega Brothers movie?
I think that ship has sailed.
Okay.
I mean, unless
I don't think anybody wants to see
recast
Travolta and Michael Madsen.
or even if you cast them as younger guys, I just don't.
You don't think that would be cool?
I think it would be all right. I mean,
The
it'd
Vega
be cool,
Brothers
but I
begin.
would rather see him explore new territory in that world.
The Vega Brothers begin.
Who would you cast as a young Mr. Blonde and a young Vincent Vega?
Jared Leto in the Travolta role. Okay, because of the blue eyes, I guess. We need somebody with blue eyes who's hot at the moment. And then who would be a dope Michael
Jared
Madsen?
Leto as Vincent Vega. Wow.
What about Tom Hardy as Mr. Blonde?
I could see Tom Hardy as a young Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
I'm not with you on
Interesting.
the Leto thing. Leto.
Who cares?
Who would you guys pick as the Travolta role?
Oh man, that would be a tough one. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Vincent Vega.
Meh, pass.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
I'm sorry, bro.
We need somebody more masculine. I don't know, but Tarantino retiring.
Don't
I
believe
just
the hype.
yeah, exactly. He said things to that reporter before that haven't come
He
true.
has been actually for the last few years now. He's been saying that 10 movies seems like a number for him. I mean, I don't know if he's talking himself into it.
Until Harvey waves a blank check and he's like, "You want to just make a movie?" And it's hard to turn down. I don't know if I see Tarantino fading into the sunset and writing novels and
No way.
as he's indicated. But Channing Tatum, Demian Bashir joining that cast. I really like
irony
that.
I'm
is
intrigued by it.
if he retires to write books, his books are going to be released digitally, not like not in print. So
Right.
He's a guy who hates digital everything. Except sound.
He's a very analog guy.
A very analog guy. Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a good point. I like
as
that.
Tarantino's one of my favorite filmmakers, let's hope that he sticks around a little bit longer
Of course.
than a 10 film filmography. Neil, what do you want to leave us with? Any recommendations? Anything that you want to get off your chest?
Wow, that's a big statement, big question without any preparation whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. Rant away if you want. This is the space.
I don't know that I have anything to rant about.
Okay.
I mean, I love the, going over the things we talked about today. I still love the Michelle McLaren thing. That's the thing that I'm most excited about at this particular moment. The movie's coming out. I think I'm curious about, we talked about Ben-Hur. I'm very curious about Exodus.
Okay.
That they're saying is an over 3 hour movie.
You have not seen like the 30 minutes of footage, have you?
I've
think
seen
Kelvin
bits
has.
and pieces.
Kelvin has.
I've
yeah.
seen bits and pieces.
I don't like doing that.
It premieres in like France
I avoid
or
it.
something.
I try to
Paris.
avoid it.
I did it for
I'm very
300
excited.
and I came out of that presentation. I was like, 300 is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Oh, no. It was
Yeah,
awful.
I did the same
Stop.
thing. 300
Hated
is
it.
not a good movie.
No.
You won't find one meathead to agree with you. That's a movie that.
Well, this goes back to my whole Zack Sneider thing. But
okay, I have to respectfully disagree. He's visually. Come on, the
but
imagery composed is gorgeous.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay.
But I mean, so is Interstellar. Interstellar is gorgeous, but that doesn't mean that it's a good movie. I mean, I think that you have, just because a director is making something look great,
right,
doesn't mean that he's telling a story.
Oh, absolutely agree. But 300 is
is ridiculous.
Either way,
you want me to rant? Okay, let's rant about 300.
Okay.
Your time is up. We have to get the show on the road. Anything you want to leave us with?
Back to the big game hunt and see how we could disrupt the Hollywood news.
Other
system.
than Amanda Waller, is there anything that you're tracking that's
I'm
really
tracking
hot?
something bigger.
Okay.
So I can't. If I need help, you know who I'm going to
I'd
call.
love to see Kerry Washington get Amanda Waller. By the way, I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah,
and she's hot right now.
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
Show.
I really think Kerry Washington is would be really interesting as Amanda Waller.
Fan-casting.
We'll leave it at that. Guys, Reilly should be back next week. I'm going to be out the next 2 weeks. I'm going back to Boston for Thanksgiving. But Neil, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is
Miyambe, always a pleasure. Guys, meet the movie press. Rate it, comment it, like it, all that good stuff. Have
Tweet
a good
it.
weekend. Popcorn Talk Network.
Until the next episode.
Yeah, you got it.
Hopefully I'll be back someday.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.